Welcome into the AZ Wildcats podcast. It's about to be a battle with the Baylor Bears Tuesday night. Damon and I have all the preview and analysis you need ahead of that Big 12 banger of a matchup. Don't go anywhere. It's 30 seconds in the AZ Wildcats podcast.
Welcome into the AZ Wildcats podcast. I am your host, Damon Fairall, with my boy, Kevin Thomas. As always, the utility man pressing buttons, giving you the best takes in the business. And Kevin, how is this Monday treating you? You've mentioned that you like to own Mondays. How are you doing on this fine Monday morning?
You know, I did oversleep on this fine Monday, Damon, but you know, you can't win them
next
all.
Week,
yeah,
next
we'll
Monday.
We'll get them next week. We'll get next Monday. But no, it's been a good morning, Damon. I'm excited to talk a little bit about Baylor basketball coming to town here in a little bit. But first, I want to talk about how was your weekend, Damon? How was your weekend? What'd you get up to? There was a lot of good football.
Yeah, I mean, on Saturday, obviously, we were on this show, on this fine program with all of our best friends and family in the world, and so you know, you know how I was on Saturday, but on Sunday, just settled in, watched some ball, and yeah, it was a good little day off for me. You obviously went to Tucson, the greatest city on earth.
I did,
and kind of hit up some old stomping ground spots. How was your weekend?
It was a ton of fun, Damon. Like you said, Saturday was awesome. Arizona gets a dub in a fun fashion over UCF. And then on Sunday, my girlfriend and I took a nice little day trip to Tucson, hit some farmers markets, hit some of our favorite food spots, let her walk around campus because she hadn't actually seen the campus before. So, yeah, that was awesome. Stopped by the school store, Damon, and I had so much appreciation for the NIL era yesterday, Damon, because I got this beautiful Noah Fafita t-shirt at the U of A school store yesterday, and I noticed you'll find this funny, Damon. There was a Jacob Manu section. I called you yesterday and told you about this, that they had a Jacob Manu section with all his jerseys, all his shirts, just
on clearance.
I didn't look. I should have looked to see if it was on sale. I didn't think it was on sale. It didn't look like it was
Didn't
on
even
sale.
check the price tag. I mean,
No.
like, why would we?
Why would I walk that direction, you know? Yeah, but there was also a Montana Lemonious Craig section as well. Some Noah Fafita shirts, obviously, that I'm repping. And then for Big Damon Dog, there was even some Big Jonah shirts on sale as well. But yeah,
love me some Big Jonah.
I just missed U of A campus. It's a beautiful, beautiful place.
It's one of the nicest campuses
the people
in the
Tucson
country.
Are so nice.
Yeah,
like I kind of forgot. I haven't been there in some months now. And I kind of forgot just how like salt of the earth kind everyone in Tucson is.
Yeah, you kind of get used to the city lifestyle. I feel like up here in the valley where people are just a little bit more on edge, and it's kind of, you know, they always say that about like Los Angeles, right? Like, you know, the people there are just not everybody's, you know, super welcoming and homey. But in Tucson, I always like to explain it. It's like the biggest little city in the world. I feel like everybody knows everybody. Everybody treats each other like, you know, like their family, essentially. I just think it's a good community in Tucson, no doubt about it. Why don't you stand up real quick and show the fine folks at home that Noah Fafita shirt?
We'll just do one of these. We'll do one of these.
I mean, that's beautiful.
Noah Fafita with some of his iconic, you know, photos and things.
No free ads, as we like to say on this show, but at the same time, when it comes to Noah Fafita and getting that bag,
support the
we
NIL,
will be
man.
giving you all of the free ads.
Yes.
To our sweet Noah Fafita,
king, our sweet king.
Yeah, our sweet prince, really. But yeah, unbelievable weekend. I wish I got down to Tucson this weekend. You hit up the farmers market as well.
Oh yeah. It's I mean, I don't know how Max feels about me saying this, but it was the Relito farmers market.
Relito.
Sorry. I took French in high school. I'm not very worldly in that way.
Double L, Y sound.
Thank you, Damon. I appreciate it. I appreciate that. See, that's why I got Damon Dog right here to help me out. But yeah, no, I hit up that farmers market. They had some great booths, some new booths. There was like a new pasta booth I hit. That was fun. Yeah, it was
Nice.
an overall great day. Picked up some new cacti for my balcony.
You eat
It
any
was,
good food while you're up there?
oh yeah, Damon. Hit up a brand redacted bread shop. You know, had some beautiful sandwiches and soup situation.
Now now I need to know what the place is. I don't care. I mean,
Well, I think it's
Max
just
can
like
cry about it
I
all he
think it's a
wants.
nice bread spot that's just like beyond. It's just beyond
Got you.
what most other bread
Understood.
places do.
Understood.
Hmm. Yeah, while still being delicious bread
Mm-hmm.
based food. Yeah.
Understood. Obviously, we got a little bit of basketball to talk, Kevin.
Yes, I'm so
big
excited.
game against the Baylor Bears tomorrow. Probably, and we put it in the show title here. Like I would say, probably the most important game of the season thus far. Obviously the Duke game had a lot of hype because we hate Duke so much. They, robbed us of a national championship in 2001 and cheated on their way in doing so. We always like to take it to Duke as Arizona fans, but this one means a little bit more just for the conference, right? Like that Duke game, you lose and you get handled and it feels bad, but at the same time, it's a non-conference game. You're going to play a team, maybe match up with a team like that in the tournament or whatever. But right now, it's all about the Big 12. And with the start Arizona has gotten off to in the Big 12, I think that Arizona fans should have maybe not expectations, but the dream should be actually taking home the conference this year, right? So this Baylor game is, I think, the first big game in terms of, what we need to do to accomplish that.
Yeah, 1000%, Damon. And I think that, what really lends itself to there being credence to Baylor being the most crucial matchup of the season so far for Arizona, in my opinion, is Duke and Wisconsin were very early in the season.
Yes.
Still kind of figuring out what the team is. If you win or lose those games, it does not necessarily mean that you are one thing or the other. And I'm not saying that if Arizona wins or loses against Baylor, that the season is either made or broken by that. But what I am saying is that we as fans think that we know a lot more about this Arizona team now than we did when they played against a team like a Duke, right?
Definitely.
And if you want to make it to the late tournament like Arizona does, beating teams like Baylor, Texas Tech, Iowa State in this slaughterhouse of a conference, Damon, really strengthens your roster or your resume in a way that does. I think while Duke have been an incredible win, I think banking these conference wins now that you've lost to Duke is a bigger deal. And I think this Baylor game is a real temperature check for Arizona. It's the highest Ken Pom ranked team Arizona has faced since they played Duke.
Yes.
And so I think it's a huge thermometer game for Arizona, Damon. It is crucial.
Absolutely. You mentioned it. Baylor 18th in Ken Pom, Duke 2nd in Ken Pom, and vying for that number 1 overall ranking there. Speaking of rankings, Kevin, let's get into it a little bit. We were the AP Top 25 and the coaches poll released this morning. It's one of those things where obviously Arizona's record maybe up to this point hasn't necessarily been that of a ranked team, but we were extremely unlucky according to Ken Pom and my own eyes in non-conference settings. And basically just lost every single close matchup that we had available to us. I think the way that they've started off playing in the Big 12, this is a team to me that is one of the best 25 teams in the country. I have no doubt that we'll find ourselves in these rankings moving forward going into the season. But yeah, Arizona snubbed again on the AP Top 25 poll this weekend, Kevin. Baylor, number 25 in the country, moved up into the top 25. They have 4 losses. We have 5 losses. Those 4 losses from Baylor are 4 of the best losses you could probably have in college basketball this year. But
you might not be able to pick better losses.
No, you couldn't. And then Iowa State, one of the teams that beat Baylor in those 4 losses, moves up to number 2 in the rankings. So Big 12 team representing at number 2 there. Arizona unranked, as I mentioned. Kevin, do you think that Arizona, I'm going to put you on the spot here. You think Arizona is ranked next week on this Monday when we're talking about it on a Monday show?
So that would be after Texas Tech and Baylor.
Correct.
Yes, I do. I do think Arizona is ranked next time we have a talk about this situation. I think Arizona, even if they split against Baylor and Texas Tech, I think as long as you don't get blown out by either one of those teams, I think Arizona could find itself ranked. I think that if you beat, obviously if you beat Texas Tech on the road, I believe, then that I think that's a more credible victory than Baylor at home. Baylor's kind of struggled. I'm saying that Baylor's road games have been the ones where they have struggled most to my awareness. Yeah, away loss, neutral loss, away loss, and away loss. All their losses have been not at home. And they go to Arizona State. We're going to talk about this in the Baylor preview more, but they go to Arizona State on Saturday. They had a 15-point victory in their hands and kind of let it slip, let it fumble, and then
at one of the easiest venues to play at in the entire country, by the way.
Yes, and so I think that like the Baylor game, while it poses a ton of challenges for a team like Arizona, Damon, I think people look at that and it's going to look really nice if Arizona wins that. But I think that Baylor actually might have more holes than we think that they did coming into this week, this month, whatever you want to call it. So, yeah, I think Arizona's ranked next Monday.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I mean, well, I guess there is doubt about that, but I think that it's possible that they are ranked. I think I'll defer from you a little bit just based off of this win streak and not getting in the top 25. I'm kind of the opinion that they probably need to win both those games to get in. But I don't think that that's impossible. I do think that, and we'll talk about it more in the second segment, but I do think that, Arizona has what it takes to take down Baylor at home. And as you mentioned, Texas Tech, Lubbock, really, really tough place to play at, but Arizona is a better team than Texas Tech. So, we'll get there when we get there, but I do think that if they can pull that game down, I feel confident in this team's chances to be top 25. And as you mentioned, this team is just playing at a different level than they were earlier in the season. It's almost as if, and I know you can't do this, but like when you're looking at Arizona's resume, I almost want to just throw out the non-conference games. I do.
Yeah, I know. And this is what we talked about. I forget what show it was on when you asked me about should Arizona be ranked at this point?
I think it was
should they
last
not
Monday.
Be ranked? And I said, look, like while Arizona we know is a top 25 team on paper, like when these people who do the rankings are looking at the resume, Arizona might not deserve it in their eyes based on what the team looked like through a lot of the non-conference games, right?
Yeah.
But you and I and everyone watching knows Arizona's a top 25 team in this country.
Absolutely.
But I think if you're some of the voters, maybe you're looking at resumes and getting caught up on the early losses, and you can't throw those out if you're those people. But we can, because we know what we're watching.
Yeah.
But we don't have to vote, and so we can throw all those things out while they can't. And so I do think Arizona's a top 25 team, but they got snubbed, but it makes sense, right?
Yeah, it does. I think this has been, the team has figured out their rotation a lot better since those early matchups, right? I mean, and I don't want to say that it's like necessarily helped the team, but I think Krivos going down just gave this team a little bit more, credence to what their roles are and what they need to do for this team to be a winning basketball program. I heard Corey mention this on McHale Madness, actually, Corey Williams, who does a podcast with Saul Bookman every Thursday, right? It's typically Thursdays. Sometimes switches
this
around.
Week's gonna be Wednesday.
At 7 p.m. this week for McHale Madness for all your Arizona basketball talk. But Corey mentioned it, like it's when you don't have that feeling that someone's looking over your shoulder necessarily. When you're a Henri Veesaar and early in the season when Henri Veesaar is getting playing time, he has the feeling, naturally that if he's messing up, if he's not playing good basketball, Tommy's going to put him on the bench, right? Like you miss a 3-pointer, oh, you go to the bench. You don't box out properly, oh, you go to the bench. That I think that there's just this added confidence right now in a guy like Henri Veesaar, in a guy like Carter Bryant. There's no one looking over their shoulder anymore. They're feeling comfortable in their roles, and they can expand on that comfortability on the court night in and night out because they know they're going to see minutes no matter what.
Yeah, and I think, Damon, I think there are some fans who have in the past criticized Tommy Lloyd's ability to manage minutes, specifically when players are struggling, right? And I think
he likes to let them work their way out of it, right?
But I think some fans don't like that. I think some fans, when a player is struggling, they don't want to see that player struggle. They don't want to watch it, right? They don't want to watch the player work through that problem. They just want the player to get benched, come back, and be perfect, right?
Yeah.
And I think that what Tommy Lloyd has proven is that 1,000%, when a player is struggling to a point where Tommy Lloyd no longer thinks like, okay, this is just a let him play through it situation, we need to sit him down. Tommy's been sitting down Caleb Love.
Yeah. And he did last game.
Yeah. So I would love to hear what people think about Tommy Lloyd's ability to manage minutes now. Because I haven't heard none of that talk in a while anymore, Damon. But I think we're seeing a lot of growth.
And I think
now that those minutes have been redistributed.
Yeah, and the growth is just that, right? Like I think Tommy looks at this team, right, and he says to himself, our ceiling as a roster is with, a Henri Veesaar giving us positive minutes, even if it doesn't look pretty against UCLA or whatever. That we'll take that loss on the chin if it means in the long term that it's going to help out this program. And I think Tommy sees that long-term vision, right? It's not a short term like, hey, we need to do everything possible to win each individual game. It's about the long run, and it's about how this team is playing in late March, right? So I personally, that's the best way of going about it, in my opinion. And I think that we're seeing it work out in some circumstance, right? But Tommy did mention after that UCF loss that, maybe some minutes distribution needs to be switched up a little bit just based off of the sloppy play late from this team. He has a quote here. People were saying that this was the most pissed off that Tommy has possibly been in Arizona coach's uniform. And he starts off by going in and saying that he was upset with how dumb we played. We were dumb. Our fundamentals were poor. Our late game decision making was poor. And he called it unacceptable. So, I think, he's happy about the 4-0 in conference record. But he says here that after the UCLA debacle, he wouldn't have believed you if you said that, hey, Arizona's about to start off 4-0 in conference. But just mentions that you got to fight to get where you want to go at all times for Arizona. Like it's about fighting for your minutes. It's about fighting for your teammates and your position. And I think this team, they get a little lackadaisical when it gets late in games and they feel like they have it won. We've seen it, probably a handful of times now. So it's got to be something that improves, no doubt about that.
1,000%. And I think what stood out to me most about Tommy Lloyd's quote is that he said they were playing dumb.
Yes.
You don't hear a coach, unless it's maybe Mick Cronin, call his players stupid or dumb, or say that was dumb. What you did was dumb. I think it shows Tommy Lloyd is at a point where I've done what I can as the coach. You guys have to do it out there consistently. And I don't know. And clearly it's frustration boiling over from Tommy because you're winning and it's just nothing like these are games where you should be building towards the team you need to be in the tournament, right, Damon? Like we were just talking about with how Arizona is a different team than they were a month ago than they are now. That build has to continue or else the build doesn't mean anything.
Correct.
Right? And so I think if you're Tommy Lloyd, you're sitting back looking like, yeah, we can't rest on our laurels saying, okay, yeah, we've improved. We're 4-0 in conference. We're, our ish don't stank. You know what I mean? Like we have to continue to grind and work and improve because the Big 12 is insane.
It is.
And Tommy knows that.
Yeah. That's why he said he'd be shocked if we were 4-0 after.
Yeah. And I think being willing to talk about minutes distribution publicly like that is a real direct shot at some people in that locker room, I feel like. And that's just my speculation on the topic because you don't do that as a coach. Like locker room stuff stays in the locker room unless it's a direct message,
Yeah.
And so that's what stood out to me most about Tommy Lloyd's post-game presser is he was upset.
Yeah, he was really mad. I think, I saw a tweet from Shane Dale and you mentioned it. He mentioned it in his tweet that like Tommy isn't Mick Cronin. This is not a game in, game out thing where Tommy's getting fed up with in the media post-game presser. Like this is very, very, very uncommon from Tommy Lloyd. And if he's genuinely this upset about how the team played, that I think holds a lot of weight in terms of, what the mentality around the program is and just the way that they're going to have to improve upon it in practice and in the future games. Another thing Tommy, spoke about here after the post game was that, you look back on the season and all of a sudden you think to yourself, oh, if we just had this game there and this game there, we might have been a higher seed than what we got. And, we could be playing a worse team in the first round, hypothetically. It doesn't always work out like that, obviously, but it's totally correct, right? Like we could be looking back on the end of this season being like, if only we beat UCLA, we could have been a 2 seed instead of a 3 seed, right? And it matters. That kind of stuff matters. So got to treat every game like it's the Super Bowl, essentially, and it's the Big 12 conference. There's no gimmies. It's not Corvallis on a Thursday night anymore. This is real time, big time basketball.
Yeah, and I think that you can't take for granted, right, like the wins that you are banking in conference, because what I was gonna say is that the Big 12 is a conference where you have to control your own destiny, right? You have to put yourself in a position to control your outcome at the end of the season as much as possible, because it's not possible to simply walk through the Big 12 like Arizona could walk through the Pac-12, right? And so if you can bank wins early, like we've been talking about all season, give yourself more control over the outcome of your season at the end, that's essential, crucial for Arizona come tournament time. And Tommy Lloyd knows this, and I think Tommy Lloyd is trying to instill urgency in these players, because that's what it seems to me. I think he's trying to instill a sense of go at every moment in these players.
Absolutely, Kevin. We're going to talk Baylor Bears basketball, Triple B, after this break here on the AZ Wildcats podcast.
Well, Damon, I'm excited to talk about our friends at Colt Cannabis. Colt Cannabis opened up, well, they didn't open up, but Trulieve, Colt Cannabis's partner, opened up their new Maricopa location this past weekend, January 11th. And if you haven't gone and checked it out, make sure to go check it out. Trulieve, they're doing wonderful things with our friends over at Colt Cannabis, who have just dropped the Fire Magic Marker strain, which is a super, super premium strain of flower, because great flower is hard to find these days, Damon. And if you need some great flower, our friends at Colt Cannabis have your back. So they are exclusively at Trulieve locations right now in the Valley. So get over to trulieve.com to find your local shop and place an order for some Colt Cannabis, and tell them PHNX sent you, tell them the dog sent you, tell them Kevo sent you. Do what you got to do.
Name holds some weight in Maricopa. Tell them Johnny Venerable sent you, the former mayor of Maricopa.
How many big booms?
If you're going to want a house out in Maricopa or anywhere in the Valley, Carol Roy's team is the way to go, because she's the Valley's fan favorite. Carol's real estate team has been family owned and locally operated for 3 generations, serving the Valley of the Sun. And they've sold, Kevin, over 12,000 homes across the Valley. That is no joke. That is a real number there. And everybody knows when you're choosing a real estate agent, that's going to be one of the biggest decisions of your entire life, because that's where you're going to be ending up sleeping, waking up every morning. You got to love your home, and Carol's going to make sure you love your home, because if you don't, she's going to buy it back from you, Kevin. She's going to buy your damn house back for you, just because you don't love it, and then she's going to help you find a new home that you do love. That's
what a
the
great
Carol
person.
Oh,
what
it's
an amazing
unbelievable.
Person.
That's the Carol Royce team guarantee. And if you're considering buying a home in 2025, the name to trust is Carol Royce. Your home sold guaranteed realty. Move up to one of our listings and we'll buy your home back for cash. Have questions? Call today or visit Carol online at carolroyceteam.com. That's carolroyceteam.com. I want to shout out everybody in the chat, Kevin, all of my closest friends in the world. We got Saul, we got Erica, of course. We got the whole team in here. Saul mentions here, I want to point this out. He says, rewatching the game, lots of more meat left on the bone in terms of what can be cleaned up. Absolutely. And that's what Tommy was so fired up about, I believe. Post game, you got Erica in here. She says, of course, Kevin goes to Tucson this weekend. Doesn't hit a brother up. What the hell, Kevin?
I had a very tight schedule. I didn't really have a lot of time to I didn't even see any of my friends in Tucson when I went. I was there from 10:30 to 3 o'clock. So I just didn't have a lot of time to.
I'm hearing excuse after excuse after excuse.
That's fine.
Here,
you can call
Erica.
them excuses. I call them.
I just think
genuine
it's sad.
reasons.
I just think
I'm trying to get the truth.
I think it's sad that your good pal Erica wants to spend time with you, and you don't even bother to say, "Hey, I'm in your city."
Hey, if you PHNX Mercury Wednesday in studio, Erica will be here.
Yeah, we'll be hanging out for sure.
Fine.
I want to shout out some other people in the chat here, Kevin, if you wouldn't mind scrolling up for me.
Shout out Mark McFarland.
Tom, of course, always here. June, always here. Eric Espinosa, good to see you, buddy. Gringo Billy, Zona Tucson. Tommy's Left Nut, of course, one of the best names in the chat. Mia Vega, and my boy David. We got a squad in here, of course.
Merc on Friday, my bad.
If you're not in the chat yet, pop in there and hang out with us. We're trying to be more interactive with the chat. We'll shout you out, get your comment on the screen there. So yeah, hop in the chat here and hang out with me and my boy Kevin. Kevin, we do have some numbers to talk about here regarding Baylor basketball. Oh yeah, and drop a like on this video. That would be massive for us.
Before we get into Baylor's stats,
For
can I
sure.
give you a statistic about Baylor that I know you're going to love? It's going to brighten your day, Damon. Scott Drew, the head coach of Baylor, has maintained after his victory on Saturday a perfect record against ASU, moving to 6-0. Scott Drew owns the Sun Devils. That's all I had to say. That's
but doesn't everybody own the Sun Devils in basketball? Like
practically yes, but I think I had to point out that they just can't defeat Scott Drew. They're not good enough.
Is that all at Baylor, or did he beat them when he was at Valparaiso as well?
I don't believe,
because that would be unbelievable.
That in front of me. I don't have that in front of me. I was getting this from a Baylor reporter that wrote that head coach Scott Drew also maintained his perfect record against Arizona State. That is from Jack McKenzie at Sikkim 365.
Yeah, 6 wins, 0 losses here. And I'm looking, blah blah blah. Good podcasting. They beat them. They beat them this season. They beat them in the Bahamas in 21-22. Beat them in Waco 2 times in a row, 2010 to 2012. And then beat them in Tempe again in 09 and at a neutral site in 08. So I think Scott Drew has been there for all 6 of those wins. He really does own ASU.
That's what I'm saying. Isn't that awesome? Like,
yeah, that's crazy.
They're just being owned by Scott Drew. Yeah. It's amazing. And even when they thought that they maybe could go to overtime and steal a victory, no, Scott Drew has your number.
Yeah, Scott Drew owns ASU, and but he doesn't own Arizona Wildcats because he has never played against Tommy Lloyd. This will be the first head-to-head matchup of 2 probably top 5 coaches in the country, in my opinion. So yeah, should be fun to watch. And you have in here that we got a couple other fun coaching matchups on the schedule as well, Kevin.
Yeah, I'm excited. I looked at some of the head coaching headliners, so to speak, for the rest of the schedule, and you got TJ Otzelberger at ISU. Bobby Hurley is always funny to watch coach because he's a very expressive guy.
He's Mick Cronin light.
The Hurleys are quite the expressive
He's Mick Cronin light. I mean, he's nowhere near Mick Cronin, but like it's a couple steps underneath that. But genuinely, when you watch Mick Cronin, and then you watch Bobby Hurley right after, you'd walk away and be like, Bobby Hurley's might be the most
level-headed dude.
Yeah, level-headed. I was gonna say head on his shoulders coach in the entire country. I don't know if you saw Mick Cronin get tossed this weekend, Kevin, but
I did.
One of the most hilarious.
I tweeted about it because, man, he's a grown man, Damon. That's all I gotta say. That's all I'm gonna say on that. I'm not gonna get too crazy about it, but he's a grown man.
He's a loser, is what he is. I'll get crazy about it.
Anyway, Damon, Kelvin Sampson at Houston obviously is going to be a blockbuster matchup anytime Tommy Lloyd and Kelvin Sampson lock horns, so to speak.
Well, we have seen that, and it wasn't a very good matchup. No, but hopefully this time around it's better.
But on paper, it's always a good matchup. Is my point, right?
Sure.
You're not gonna, if you cook the same meal 10 times, it's not gonna hit the same every time.
It just hurts me because that Matherin team really felt like it had the goods to go all the way. It felt
like the one. It did feel like the one from the TCU dunk all the way through. It just You're right.
That was a tough season to only make the Sweet 16 in.
That was a frustrating one. But Bill Self also at the tail end of the season is going to be a nice matchup as well with Kansas. But yeah, Damon, let's talk a little bit more about Baylor, specifically Scott Drew's squad. We do have their preview right here for all of you.
Let's do it.
But what stands out to you, Damon?
I think just that offensive and defensive rating is extremely high, right? Like that's what you get in Big 12 basketball. This is going to be what we see against Kansas, against Houston, against Iowa State, and Baylor and Arizona. That's probably the big 5 there in the Big 12, right? And all of these teams are sound on both sides of the basketball. They've played a really tough schedule thus far. We mentioned it. Those 4 losses are about as good of 4 losses as you'll find in the country. Coming against Gonzaga, Iowa State, I believe.
It was Gonzaga, Iowa State, and then they also picked up losses to Tennessee and UConn.
So, yeah, you got the back-to-back champs there in Tennessee, who was the #1 team in the country like a week ago. So, I mean, really, really good, strong resume there from Baylor. But a lot of those games haven't been super close, Kevin.
No, yeah, you lose to Iowa State by 19. They lost to Connecticut by 4. They lost to Tennessee by 15, and Gonzaga, that's an ugly number,
Yeah, by 40.
101 to 63 is an ugly number.
Obviously, happened at the beginning of the season, but a 38-point loss to anybody is
it's just a lopsided number.
That
gross.
doesn't happen too often. So, and Gonzaga hasn't been incredible recently. They're also 14-4, but really high up there in Ken Palm.
Yeah.
But another thing that sticks out to me there is that tempo number, right?
Yeah.
You pull that up again for me, please. You look at the adjusted tempo, which is determined by how many possessions a team gets with per 40 minutes in a 40-minute basketball game. Baylor's averaging 65 possessions per 40 minutes, which is good for 284th in the country, Kevin, out of a grand total of 364, which is pretty dang low. What do you take about this Baylor Bears team and like what sticks out to you, I guess?
Well, let's start with that pace number that you just brought up. I think that's really encouraging for a team like Arizona that can clamp up so strongly on the defensive end. A team that's already slow.
Yeah.
If you can slow them down to a halt, because what stopped Baylor in the ASU game was their offense just totally whittled away in the second half. I've seen and read a lot of Baylor fans that they feel like the second half offense, the late game offense specifically, is kind of confusing and kind of it slows down to a halt to an extent. And I think that Arizona can really take advantage of that early. Baylor, they did hold ASU to only 20 first half points, so it's not going to be easy to do what I'm about to say they could do. But I think when you look at the first half numbers for Baylor, they put up 32 points, Damon, against ASU in their most recent game. And I think that Arizona, we know, is a much better team than ASU. And so my point with all this is Baylor's already slow. Arizona can take advantage of that, slow them down, and then turn that into transition offense, in my opinion.
Yeah, if they can get some fast break buckets, if they can win the fast break battle, I think that would bode really well for Arizona in this game. You mentioned it, that ASU game. I think it provided a good analysis, I think, of Baylor. I mean, obviously ASU and Bobby Hurley play a lot different than Arizona and Tommy Lloyd play. I've been saying it around here on the office, but like Bobby ball is it's disgusting to watch, and it's
terrifying.
It's a horrible brand of basketball, but the way that it works out is, you're down 10 points in the second half and your team has 40 points on the board total, 30 minutes into the basketball game. And you're like, man, this offense stinks. But the good news is the other team has 52 points and you're down 12 points. Does that feel like a huge margin? Yeah, it does. It feels insurmountable. But the problem there is, you score on 3 straight possessions and get 3 straight stops, and all of a sudden it's a 1-possession basketball game potentially. And I think that's how Bobby and ASU get back into a lot of games, late in games. They press and they cause havoc and create turnovers, and then get you to kind of start freaking out on the offensive side of the ball. Arizona plays a lot different than that. So it'll be interesting to see kind of the contrasting styles, but it's also interesting to see Baylor being that good offensively with as slow as a tempo as they have. They're clearly an efficient team. They play their brand of basketball, but it works for them.
Yeah, and I think Baylor, their KenPom rankings kind of surprise me on some level, because for Baylor to have the 15th best offense and the 40th best defense is very surprising to me. Just simply because this is a team that put up 29 in the second half against ASU. 29, Damon. I mean, this is the team that their late game offense and their second half defense is what has the fans worried. And to me, that does not match up with their KenPom rankings. Kind of similar to what you said about Gonzaga in a way, where Gonzaga visually, the eye test has not matched the numbers yet. But I'm excited because I think that this should be a fun matchup with some of these players that we're about to get into talking about here, Damon, that kind of contribute to this boomer bust Baylor offense, in my opinion. I think it's a Baylor offense that one night could be really successful, and then one night you could have players like one more time, Jeremy Roach, 2 for 11 against ASU, 1 for 6 from 3. Jaden Nunn was 1 for 3 from 3. VJ Edgecombe was 5 for 13, which is not awful, but I'm just speaking to the lack of efficiency from the Baylor offense at times. And so the 15th ranking for this offense does kind of surprise me.
Yeah, we're going to get into more player talk and player analysis of this really, really deep Baylor Bears team right after this break here, and we talk about some of our fine partners.
You want to talk about fine partners? I love me a fine can of neutral.
Who doesn't?
Keep it tasty, Tucson. I was just in Tucson, and man, that's a tasty, tasty city. A city of gastronomy. It's a city of gastronomy, Damon.
It is.
It's a UNESCO city of gastronomy, and having neutral in your city has to be a part of that. Has to be a big boost to your gastronomy rankings.
No doubt.
This is a public service announcement for all of our hard seltzer lovers. Neutral vodka seltzer has arrived. Made with simple ingredients like vodka, seltzer, and real juice. Neutral tastes good, y'all. Like real good. So it's like, Damon, once you see real snow, you don't want fake snow. You know what I'm saying? Once you
have a real seltzer.
Once you build a real snowman, you don't want to play with a fake snowman. You want a real seltzer, not no artificial seltzer. You want a neutral
nasty malt seltzer.
Ugh. Keep it tasty, Tucson. Neutral, enjoy responsibly. 2024 Anheuser-Busch Neutral Flavored Vodka and Carbonation, St. Louis, Missouri. Go get yourself a neutral, y'all.
Yeah, you know that they're going to give you the real stuff there. And of course, you can go over to the beer cave with our friends over at Circle K and pick yourself up some neutrals. But that's not all Circle K has to offer. They have all of the goods, energy drinks, coffee, snacks,
scratch-offs,
hot dogs, pizza, hamburgers, taquitos. Everyone loves a good gas station taquito, right?
Yeah.
You got the Circle K snacks. We have them around here in the office. Cheapest snacks you're going to buy, but damn, do they taste good. Circle K is the way to go. And of course, I am a member of the Inner Circle. I actually filled up today, Kevin. You're gonna be mad at me. I was running on 0 miles left on my car this morning.
I'm not mad. I'm terrified for you.
I was late for an appointment and I didn't have time to stop for gas. So I was like, I guess I'm risking it here. You got to risk it to get the biscuit. And I also did a quick Google search. You have 30 to 50 miles when you're on E, but
you do.
Don't let yourself get to E there. Go on over to Circle K and get yourself the cheapest gas you'll find in all of Arizona. Inner Circle reward members, you end up getting 25 cents off per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups, which is a lot of money off when you add it up. And of course, you're going to get 5 cents off per gallon if you become a premium member of the Inner Circle. After that, 3 cents off at first, but it's not hard to get up to that premium membership to get that 5 cents off.
Not at all.
Me, I'm a premium member. Kevin's a premium member. Everybody here at PHNX. So yeah, go into Circle K, get yourself anything that you need. It is the best convenience store that you could possibly find. And of course, they're a staple of the Valley. So join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit circlek.com for more details. All right, Kevin, let's
keep breaking down Baylor, yeah?
Let's keep breaking down Baylor. Show some love if you're in this chat here. Get in the comments.
Shout out Mark McFarland. I don't know if we can import neutral to Brazil. I'm sure you could. I don't know the importing laws, but I think you could probably get it shipped, right?
There's got to be neutral in Brazil.
There's got to be a way. Brazil's such a beautiful country.
Yeah, it is.
And neutral's such a beautiful drink.
Match made in heaven. You're on the beach in Brazil, and you need yourself a nice cold neutral. And neutral is an Anheuser-Busch drink, so
yeah,
you know that they're worldwide.
Yeah.
Shout out St. Louis. Are you from St. Louis?
Yeah. Home of Courtney Ramey, home of Caleb Love.
Interesting. Did not know that. Two guys that need to play better basketball. One of them gone, obviously, but another guy that needs to play better basketball for us. We're going to talk about some of these guys that are playing good basketball here for the Baylor Bears, Kevin. Who do you think is like the true X factor for this Baylor team against Arizona?
I think the true X factor for this Baylor team against Arizona is Josh Ojianwuna.
Beautiful pronunciation there from my co-host.
Appreciate that. But yeah, no, Damon, I think that Josh, I'm not going to risk it twice. Josh is a mercurial player. This is a player that, from what I've heard, Baylor fans were weary / maybe even some were out on early on in the season. I mean, he did not have a good start to the year, put up 2 points against Tennessee in 16 minutes, put up 2 points against New Orleans in 22 minutes. And so, I think Baylor fans were, and even his counting stats, 8.3 points, 7.3 boards, half an assist.
It's not jumping off the screen.
It doesn't jump off the screen. But you want to know what does jump off the screen and what made my eyes truly pop this morning, Damon?
Hit me.
According to Ken Palma, this is where I'm getting all these numbers from. Josh Ojianwuna is 5th best in the nation in offensive rating, 1st in effective field goal percentage in the nation, 2nd in true shooting percentage in the nation, 50th in offensive rebound percent in the nation, and he had 17 rebounds on Saturday against ASU. This is a player who's rounding into form. He's 6'10", 225, 230, depending upon where you get your sources at. I think like it's another great test for Henri Veesaar and Tobe Awaka, because this is a player who can really rebound. 17 boards against ASU, as I already mentioned, 7 against Cincinnati, 10 against Iowa State. I mean, he had one of his best games of the year against Iowa State, Damon. He put up 5 for 6 shooting, 13 points, 10 boards, 3 steals, a block. Like this is a player that can really, I think, change the ceiling of Baylor, in my opinion, from the outside looking in, because you know what Norchad Omier is going to give you. You know that Norchad Omier is going to ball out. Jaden Nunn, he's got really good shooting numbers, 47% from 3, 41 from the field. He's not super high usage, though, only 11 points per game. So I think Josh Ojianwuna is a real ceiling changer for Baylor, and I'm looking for that matchup against our bigs in this game.
Yeah, only 6th on Baylor in minutes there as the starting center, but it seems like when he's playing a really, really solid basketball game, Baylor is, at their ceiling there. So will be interesting to watch how our front court, Tobe Awaka coming off his best game in an Arizona Wildcats uniform, and Henri Veesaar, who just seemingly gets better and better every game these days. Will be interesting to see that matchup against Ojianwuna. Did I do that?
Ojianwuna.
Ojianwuna.
Yeah, there's an A in there.
There is an A in there.
Yeah, there is. There is an A in there.
But yeah, I think the front court battle in general is really what's going to, I think, determine this game. Because as you mentioned, Norchad Omier, who is your best player that Arizona will play on
he's a beast.
Entire rest of the schedule. And I think I said Hunter Dickinson in that one. I do think Norchad Omier is a better basketball player than Hunter Dickinson. I think Hunter Dickinson is a tough matchup for this team because of his size and experience, and it's hard to slow a guy down like that. But I do think Norchad Omier, when it comes down, like if I had to pick one for my team to build a winning basketball team, I would take Norchad Omier. I think he's one of those guys who just is contributing to winning at the absolute highest level. And it's going to be a tough matchup for a front court of ours that has shown a little bit of inconsistency, right? Like Tobe Awaka hasn't played great game in and game out. Trey Townsend has been pretty brutal for this team thus far in this season. And, I think there's a chance that you're really, really relying upon a Carter Bryant to slow down maybe a Norchad Omier, which is not an easy matchup for a guy like that. Will probably be the toughest player that he'll have played against thus far this season. And not to mention VJ Edgecombe as well, right?
Yeah, we didn't even. That's the craziest part about the Baylor thing.
Yeah,
is that you can talk about this Baylor team for a while, like
you just did. They have a lot of really good players,
and we don't even get to VJ Edgecombe, whose athleticism is off the charts. His raw skill is off the charts. I mean, I saw him hit a layup in the ASU game that not many players in the country across the board can hit. Just raw athletic talent with him. I mean, he is. That's a really talented roster on paper, Dan.
Yeah, VJ Edgecombe was a top 5 prospect in the country last season.
And we didn't even mention him.
Yeah, no, it's like they have a really, really deep team full of like 6 dudes that play high level basketball. So it'll be interesting to see, because I think Arizona is one of the deeper teams in the country, right? Like,
yeah,
I know that it's only an 8-man rotation. That's pretty typical for college basketball, but it's a 8-man rotation where the 3 guys on the bench are 3 of your 5 best players on the team. So obviously that goes to show that, it's not like a situation where, like let's go back to, a 2013 Arizona Wildcats team where your bench is, you have TJ McConnell, Nick Johnson, Aaron Gordon, and, you Caleb Tarczewski. You have studs up and down your starting lineup. You go to the bench and it's like one of your premier bench players is an Elliot Pitts, who is nowhere close to as good as the guys who were in your starting 5. I now we're looking at a situation where KJ Lewis is one of the best players in the starting 5. So is Henri Veesaar. So is Carter Bryant. So at least from what we've seen this season, I feel like from a depth perspective, it's going to be interesting to see those 2 schools match up against one another. And just how that depth on depth looks versus, one of the more talented teams that Arizona has played against this season.
I agree, and I have an intangible factor to throw at you, Damon. So we talked a lot ad nauseum almost about how I don't believe that Arizona should ever lose at McHale. I think that's a crime to lose at McHale. Right now, obviously, if you do lose at McHale, there might be you might be playing at Duke.
You said we'd go undefeated at McHale. Actually, that was Kevin's prediction.
I did say that, but Baylor is not a good road team. We talked about it earlier. All their losses this year have come away from home site.
Yeah.
But I texted you this morning because it blew my mind. But that victory, again, according to the article I got from Sikkim365, that victory against ASU was their first road win of the season and the program's first road win since a February tilt at TCU last season.
Unreal.
So this Baylor team doesn't go on the road and play lights out. Like, Arizona should be able to take advantage of Baylor if Arizona is the team that we think Arizona is rounding to become.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. I think, ASU, as I mentioned earlier, maybe the single easiest venue to play at in the Big 12. TCU up there as well. I don't think TCU basketball fans are super locked in on that program. So yeah, I mean, 2 of those road wins coming against places that are not super wild places to play, right? And when they go to an Iowa State, they lose by 19 points on the road, right? And that's a crazy environment to play in. So yeah, McHale's going to be a big test for them. They're not going to be. That's not a situation where they're super used to getting big dubs against a team like that.
And Damon, that's also why I said earlier that this is, not to cut you off, but this is a huge temperature check game for Arizona, because if you handle Baylor, right? Let's say Arizona just completely handles Baylor. It's a pillar to post victory, maybe not a blowout, but they have it in control the entire time.
It will instill a lot of confidence.
So much confidence, because who else has done that to Baylor this year outside of some of the best teams in all of basketball?
Yeah.
Right? And so that's why this matchup is so crucial for Arizona, because you can either walk out with a ton of extra added question marks, or you have a ton of answers to existing questions that we've been asking for 2 months now.
Yeah, they've struggled in those tough environments, right? We noted neutral site games and away games have been a big struggle for them thus far in the season. And this is just going to be another example of that. Can Baylor play their best, true road game of the season thus far? We're going to find out. And yeah, we'll finish up some of this Baylor talk right now after this break, Kevin. Let's talk about some more of our fine partners.
Well, Damon, another one of our fine partners is our friends over at Game Time, where you can use code PHNX for $20 off your next order. Damon,
always stuff going on.
There's always stuff going on in Game Time, Damon. You guys do this over on the Cardinals show. The ASU basketball, probably the cheapest ticket in the entire state.
Yeah, if you want to go, if you want
to make money.
So Game Time, this is one of the things about Game Time actually that's beautiful. Game Time has tickets for sporting events, concerts, plays, and comedy shows. So if you want to go to Desert Financial Arena and laugh harder than you've ever laughed in your whole life, Kevin, hit up Game Time.
Oh yeah,
$3 comedy show tickets to go watch ASU basketball. It doesn't get better than that.
And they say comedy's dead, but ASU basketball lives. I don't know how that works. But Game Time has the beautiful Game Time's Picks filter, which filters out all the fluff for you, only to show you the incredible deals that Game Time can offer you. And now, I've used Game Time before in the past to get seats at McHale and things like that. You gotta get into McHale when you can. And if you can get a deal on that, you're gonna do it just like I did it. Just make sure that if you do, make sure you follow the seating arrangement. So wear red if you're going to use Game Time tomorrow. Make sure to wear red.
Absolutely.
But the coolest thing about it is you can actually preview your spot, Damon. If you go in and pick a seat, you can see exactly the view from your seat in the Game Time app in real time. It's going to be beautiful. They have all-in pricing, seat views, and the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Now, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code PHNX for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code PHNX for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
Guaranteed. And of course, we are not going to be having our PHNX Cardinal show at 4:30 later today because we bought tickets through Game Time to go to the playoff matchup tonight between the Minnesota Vikings and the LA Rams. Of course, had to move that game due to the horrible fires happening in LA. And we're thinking about everybody in that community that's struggling with that. But yeah, going to be fun in Arizona to see some playoff football. Gonna bring my horns out, Kevin, because I guess I just realized as I've been saying, bring the horns out. Yeah, skull. As I've been saying, bring the horns out. Like the Vikings the Rams also have horns, so it doesn't really work as well as maybe I thought it was.
You got to bring the Viking
but
horns out. You got to specify. Yeah, skull. Oh, that was a good one. That was a good one.
Of course, let's also talk about our friends over at Branded Bills, Kevin. I have my Branded Bills PHNX hat on. If you guys don't have one of these bad boys, you're going to want to get one. We have our PHNX collection over at the PHNX locker. And they are some of the most comfortable hats you will ever find, Kevin.
I actually, not to cut you off again, but I actually, like I said, I was in the U of A school store. That I sent you a photo, Damon. They have a nice Branded Bills section to the store with only Branded Bills hats. That means only the best hats.
Yeah, they're
in
partnered
that section. They have Territorial Cup hats. They got so you can really flex the rivalry. They got Arizona hats, obviously. Beautiful, beautiful company, Damon.
That Duel in the Desert hat you sent over with the
badge, with the circular badge,
with the circle Wildcats logo. I'm gonna need me one of those.
I almost copped it. I really almost did.
I'm gonna go hit up my guy Max, and I'm gonna see what we can do there. But Branded Bills, just the best hats you could possibly buy. You want to customize your brand. You want to help out your law firm, your softball team. You want to make some hats, some shirts, whatever. Branded Bills is gonna help you out. Of course, they have the campus collection, as Kevin mentioned, partnered with U of A. All the best Wildcats hats in the business. So head on over to the bookstore, head on over to their website at brandedbills.com. Use code PHNX for 20% off your first order, and you're going to get some of the best, most comfortable, and best looking hats in the business. All right, Kevin, we're going to round it out here.
Let's do it.
Did you have any further thoughts on this Baylor matchup? Going to be a big test for this Arizona team.
I guess I'll just leave it with this, kind of summarize our kind of conversation here. This is a huge temperature check game for Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
If Arizona handles Baylor the way we think that Arizona can handle Baylor, watch out, because that means Arizona is probably one of the best teams in the country, because no one has handled Baylor except for the best teams in the country. Like I said, Josh Ojianwuna could be a big X factor for Baylor. Underrated killer down low for Baylor, and they have a very deep and talented roster. I'm excited. It's going to be a blockbuster matchup, and I can't wait for it, Damon. But yeah, let's bring them home.
It's absolutely going to be an exciting matchup, and as you mentioned, a very, very big temperature check for this team based off of how they played recently. This is the best team since this little 6-game run that we've gone on that is, on the schedule there. So if they can keep up this good play, it's going to be extremely, extremely, encouraging, I'd say, as an Arizona fan. And I'll tell you what, they beat Arizona and they beat Baylor and beat them handily. My expectations are going to be through the roof for what this team can accomplish this season. Going to be really, really fun to watch. I'm excited for it. Gotta love high level Big 12 basketball like that.
The schedule this year is so awesome.
It is.
We always talk about it, but it's always awesome.
It's
so
like
you can't leave it alone.
Yeah, it's like here's how I would equate it. Like when we're looking at the Pac-12 schedule the last couple of years, you're like going through and being like, okay, circle this one January 15th.
Yeah, I have to be in McHale for that.
Circle this one March 3rd. That's how long in between the premier games you're looking. In the Big 12, it's like, oh, it's next week and we play a ranked team. Every single week. It doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. And even though teams that aren't ranked, the only reason they're not ranked is because we're beating up on each other in this conference. And, a team like Texas Tech has 4 losses. Arizona has 5 losses because they're, not that we've lost any Big 12 games thus far, but losing to good teams,
Yeah.
So it'll be really fun to watch play out. I'm pumped for it. The only thing I'm not pumped for, Kevin, 9 p.m. tip-off.
That's awful. Mark McFarland in the chat, who apparently, judging by context, this chatter is in Brazil. Chatter says, in Brazil, the game will start at 1 a.m. Mother, you know what? And 1 a.m.
Sorry about that, brother.
We gotta back the A at all times.
You're a true Wildcat if you watch that game.
Yes, but Mark McFarland, we appreciate you for backing the A all the way from Brazil. That is crazy. 1 a.m. tip for some people. 9 p.m. tip here in the Valley, Damon. We'll be here for a post-game show, Damon.
Yes, we will. We absolutely will be here for a post-game show.
I'm excited. Late night Wildcats.
It's going to be super late night Wildcats. Me and Kevin, we're going to have a good time with it. You know us. I'm a little bit of a night owl, so it won't be too bad for me on the show, but I'll guarantee you after the show's over, I'm going to be absolutely slumped. We got a little bit more to talk Arizona athletics, Kevin, just across the athletic department to round things out here. Arizona, we mentioned it on the last game, last post-game show on Saturday. Need a new tight end coach. Matt Atkins came over with Brent Brennan from San Jose State. Was considered to be kind of one of the better young minds on this coaching staff last season. and was given the role of de facto offensive coordinator due to that. He was the passing game coordinator. He was the tight ends coach. He was nominated for, I believe like some award. I forget exactly what it was, but like Young Coach of the Year. I don't know that was deserved based off of the performance last season, but it does go to show that he is someone that is thought of fairly highly
Yes.
within the business.
Well
And
respected for sure.
I expect him to land on his feet at another decent program, but gives Seth Dagey a opportunity to bring in his own guy as tight ends coach and potentially having another expanded title like a passing game coordinator as well.
Yeah, Damon. I mean, when Dino Babers stepped down, got pushed down, whatever you want to call it.
How many times we got to teach you this lesson, old man?
That was good. But yeah, no, when Dino Babers stepped down, I was kind of not excited, but I thought Matt Adkins would bring more to the table. Now he was put in a tough spot. I'm sure he was put in a very tough spot. Thinking you're just controlling one aspect of the offense. Now you're controlling the entire offense midway through the season. It's a tough position to be put in, but he was let go, and Arizona does need a new tight end coach. Damon, with what do we think about the tight end room? I'm kind of putting you on the spot here to an extent, so my bad on that. But what do we think about the tight end room, and does having a tight ends coach affect that right now? Or what's the outlook in that room, you think?
I know I'm just a nasty guy, and you're gonna laugh at me because I'm so nasty, but I think it means less Sam Olsen because he came with Matt Adkins from San Jose State. They clearly had a relationship, and he played a lot of snaps last year. I mean, I know Keon Burnett got hurt, but Keon Burnett was just clearly a better football player and was playing significantly less when they were both healthy than Sam Olsen. So that was a concern. A lot of people weren't happy with that.
I was unhappy with it. Keon Burnett's a good player.
He is, and he's at Kansas now because of it. So, I think Seth Dagey tried to bring him back, but is what it is. And I don't blame Keon Burnett, a guy who hasn't gotten a lot of shine at Arizona despite his high recruiting ranking. So, all the best to him, and hope he figures it out in his new home. But yeah, I think that it could potentially just provide some clarity into the room,
some stability, so to speak.
Yeah, and just pulling up the roster here. I mean, Sam Olsen is absolutely going to have the most experience as a tight end left on the roster, so he will see playing time. I'm not trying to say that he won't, but it's encouraging to me that they're going to, I think, bring in some guys that are, maybe this new tight end coach will have a relationship with other tight end recruits around the country that don't have homes yet. That would be the hope. But Roberto Miranda will be back as well. That guy feels like I think he's been here for legitimately 8 seasons now. But somehow he's going to be a senior next year. Dorian Thomas, another guy that was a decently high recruited by Jed Fish. He'll be going to New Mexico, so we lost another tight end there. But Tyler Powell, I think, is the big one here. Going to be someone that I think sees more playing time next year.
Big body, 6'7",
huge, 6'7", 250. Went to Brophy here in Phoenix. So
can he play basketball?
He's an Arizona boy. His brother was a big time recruit, younger than him. I believe committed to Wisconsin. I think Arizona came in like second, third for him in his recruiting, but high level 4-star, I believe, that went to Wisconsin, which is an O-line factory, but could see him potentially come home if it doesn't work out for him there. Something to monitor. But I think Tyler Powell sees a lot more playing time next year. 5 catches for 40 yards this season. I expect that number to go way up.
Yeah, Damon. Well, we have some other news and notes from around the athletic department. It's not just the tight end room that we need to talk about, Damon. We have some records to talk about really, really quickly. I just wanted to give a quick shout out to the track school record breakers at the Friday night Axum Open hosted by Northern Arizona. It was the indoor season opener for the track and field team, but Jade Brown finished first in the women's 60-meter with a school record. Zach Eckstein first the men's 60-meter hurdle school record, and McKenna Watson also with the women's 300-meter school record. So I felt like we got to just mention the excellence that is constantly happening at University of Arizona, right? Just complete excellence, dominance across the board.
We got a solid athletic department that competes on all fronts, especially, I would say our women's athletics is actually probably a lot stronger than our men's athletics at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You look at the team championships, I think it's 12-7 in favor of the women. So yeah, we're a athletic school through and through.
Yeah.
Our Olympic sports are quality as well, and you gotta give props. I want to give props to everybody that's watching with our streaming partners. Head on over to gophnx.com where the party continues. Kevin and I are going to round out a little bit more talk here about some other teams here in the athletic department. And one that I wanted to mention today, Kevin, D1 Baseball comes out with their rankings, and Arizona Baseball is ranked 21 in the preseason top 25. We are in a new baseball conference. The Big 12 has been one of the stronger baseball conferences in the country over the last few years, but this year, only 3 Big 12 schools in that top 25. Baseball, a sport semi like basketball, where you can be a smaller school, you could be a Group 5 school, not a Power 4 school, and be one of the better teams in the country. Like, I'm sure that UC Santa Barbara, for example, a school that year in and year out just competes at a high level, hosts a lot of regionals. Like that's just a good example of how baseball works. Like, it doesn't need to be a big school, but Arizona, Oklahoma State, and TCU are going to be those 3 teams represented in that top 25. And Arizona has 2 guys on their team that are probably going to be first round, second round draft picks in Brendan Summerhill and Mason White.
Mason White's someone I left off of my NIL conversation at the top because he had a shirt at the school store as well. So if you're a baseball fan, go support. You know what I mean?
Mason White, South Point Catholic Lancer legend. I don't know if you knew that, Kevin.
I didn't.
Did go to my high school.
I'll be honest.
No big deal. But yeah, Mason White, cat through and through. And this Arizona baseball season should be fun. Arizona baseball won the Pac-12 in its final season.
Let's go.
We own Pac-12 baseball
forever.
Yeah, just like we own Pac-12 basketball forever.
Facts.
Just like we finished 3rd in football as well. So went out on top last season. Kind of showed all the rest of the schools in the Big 12 or the Pac-12, I should say, who's boss there. Probably had the best major sports athletic season of any school.
It was up there
in that conference.
Yeah, it was up there. Yeah.
It should be a fun baseball season. Chip Hale, I think there's a lot of pressure on him this season to actually win some postseason games because Arizona has fared well in the regular season under Chip Hale, but has really struggled once they get into that postseason. High expectations this year. Going to come down to pitching like it almost seemingly always does in college baseball.
Yeah, and Damon, I was looking over some of the notes about Arizona baseball here, and did Tommy Lloyd break into the Arizona Chip Hale's office and accidentally schedule the really tough non-conference season for Arizona baseball? Because Damon, I don't know if you saw that, but Arizona's non-conference slate will feature 4 games against ranked teams, including one on opening weekend when it faces number 15 Clemson in Texas at the Shriners Children's College Showdown. But they also face Ole Miss and Louisville in that tournament. And then 2 weeks later, Damon, they head to Houston and they face the defending College World Series champions and preseason number 4 Tennessee, and then number 18 Mississippi State and College World Series runner-up Texas A&M. So just like a bunch of nobodies, right? Just like a bunch of just run them over. No, like that's crazy. It should be an insanely fun baseball season. I'm hyped for it. I know my guy Damon is excited for it as well. So
baseball boy.
Yeah, we'll be tapping in with it. We'll be tapping in.
No doubt about that. And Mason White, Brendan Summerhill, both 3rd-team preseason All-Americans, Kevin. So high expectations on those guys. Going to be your battery there in that lineup, and going to be a fun season there. So Arizona baseball gearing up for a new season here. I believe that starts in March, maybe late February.
I should have that on. I mean, this is great podcasting here, but Damon, while you look that up, I used to do like a little bit of like volunteer work for the baseball program, not like the athletic side, but it was like the marketing side. It was really fun. Like if you got free T-shirts, like during their home runs and stuff, I'd be throwing out T-shirts, doing like the brand redacted hot sauce run. Yeah, dude, that was fun. The baseball and softball stadiums super underrated. I feel like in
Oh,
terms
we
of
have-
campus venue because like I said, I gave my girlfriend a tour of the campus yesterday. We passed the softball stadium, and
Rita
I was
is
like,
unbelievable.
I was like, honestly, the softball stadium might be the best venue on the campus. I'm sorry.
It's really, really
like
nice.
it might be the best one on campus. It really like McHale is awesome
and deserved, right? Like that's
Right,
that's the
yes.
program with the most national championships. They deserve that facility. There's no
Right.
question about that.
Agreed.
The Rita Hillenbrand Stadium is
Beautiful.
unbelievable and a great
Beautiful.
place to watch a softball game. And High Corbett is a fun place to watch a baseball game
very
too.
fun. Yes.
You know,
Different vibes, but like very fun result.
we've mentioned it on this podcast, but fans in Tucson for those two sports in particular, some of the strongest in the entire country. Outside of like the South, get out of the South. You know, I think SEC baseball fans are different. LSU fans, Arkansas fans, Mississippi State fans, like that is what they have, and they go ballistic for it. But you know, the Arizona baseball fans, I think west of the Mississippi, Kevin, best we got, best in the country. Arizona softball fans, same way, showing out, game in, game out. Gotta love this fan base. We support all of our sports way better than most schools do. Like our women's basketball team draws really well as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, this baseball season will start on February 14th against Ole Miss in the Shriners Children's College Showdown in Arlington, Texas. You're gonna play Ole Miss, number 15 Clemson in Louisville in that tournament. Gonna be a pretty fun stretch of games there. And then in the Astros Foundation College Classic in Houston, that's the one that you were talking about. A&M, Mississippi State, Tennessee, gauntlet of 3 games there. I think you go out 2-1 in those games. High expectations for this team. So yeah, gonna be fun to watch this baseball program this year. Gonna be fun to watch Chip Hale kind of show with this no boo tomatoes. Yeah, gonna be fun to watch what Chip Hale can do in this season. Gonna be a pivotal season for his tenure here with the baseball program. That's gonna do it for us, Kevin. I think we covered it all today. Talked a little track, talked a little baseball, talked a little softball, talked a little basketball, a lot of basketball, talked a little bit of football. So
track and field got a shout.
Absolutely. You know, we're gonna keep you covered here on the AZ Wildcats podcast with your whole rounded out coverage of our athletic department, something that you won't find anywhere else.
Literally
Kevin.
Nowhere else.
We respect the other sports here on campus, and we will give them their due and their shine. I am at Damon Dog on Twitter. That's DAWG. Give me a follow. That is at Kevo Posts. That's KVOPOSTS. Slow down that playback speed on YouTube if that was a struggle for you to listen to, because I'm just getting so fast at this, Kevin, that it's hard.
KVOPOSTS.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to even keep up with me anymore. Give our account a follow at PHNX_Wildcats. That's going to be the hub for everything Arizona athletics related. We appreciate the entire chat. Wilberforce, David Veenstra, who is, by the way, like Mr. Track and Field. So if we ever need a little bit of college track, college cross country talk, I know my boy David is going to be able to keep us informed on that. Nifty Cello, 6'11", Mark, Erica, of course, Saul, June, Zona Tucson, everybody, all the squad here in the chat. We appreciate you. We love you. You guys are family to us. Drop a like on this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And drop a comment once the show is no longer live.
Give us a Baylor prediction.
Yeah, give us a Baylor prediction. You think Arizona wins this game? You think they win it handily? Drop it in the comment. Gonna be a fun game tomorrow on Tuesday. If you are going to the game in McHale, make sure you wear red. And make sure
tweet at us or something.
Make sure you hit like an energy drink at Circle K right before the game.
And then neutral inside.
Go to that Circle K on 6th Street there. Pop in, get yourself whatever the deal for the inner circle is that day. Sign up for the inner circle. Get you a deal on an energy drink there. You're gonna need it because it is a late tip off. But Kevin and we're gonna bring the energy on our post game show, no doubt about it. Yeah, thank you guys for watching. Peace out, and we will see you tomorrow for a late night post game show.
Bear down.
We all silly like the mayor.